So this is the ROCKNIX user guide and setup guide for the Android device called Retroid Pocket Flip 2. ROCKNIX is a Linux operating system that you can download on the device on a SD card, and then you can switch between Linux and Android, and through Linux you can use the Xemu emulator, which is the Xbox emulator. It's the only Xbox emulator available for this device, the Retroid Pocket Flip 2, because Xemu has not been forked to Android yet. It only works on Linux. So you need to get a Linux operating system. So first get an SD card, then you're going to install Linux. So go on Reddit, go to r/Retroid Pocket Flip 2 subreddit, and go to see more. And then go down to ROCKNIX Linux OS and check out the ROCKNIX install guide is the first option. I'm gonna click on that. So here we have the full instructions for burning the image onto an SD card and flashing it there. So you can make sure you get the correct one, the Retroid Pocket Flip 2 image, get the most recent one, and basically you're going to do that through your computer and follow all these instructions. I'm not going to repeat them here. Once you have your SD card and you've formatted it to ROCKNIX Linux OS, you're going to then put the SD card in the device, and then you're going to need to boot into ROCKNIX. Now, booting into ROCKNIX is difficult. It won't just boot up on its own. You have to do some special stuff. And if you're confused about how to do that, go down to the ROCKNIX booting guide right here. It's about 4 down from the top, the install guide. So once we click on booting guide, you will see a wiki page like this. This has all of the instructions. It starts right here. So just follow these instructions very closely, and if you mess up and you get locked into Linux and you can't get back to Android, follow this last one right here. This second one is only for people who want to lock their device into Linux. It won't work as Android anymore after this unless you do this step. But really, you really need to focus on this step right here, how to boot into ROCKNIX. Once you boot into ROCKNIX, it's going to be really easy. XISO files are really important. Those are the only files that Xemu emulator, which is the Xbox emulator, will work on. So if you are dumping your old games, your old Xbox discs into a disk drive, you're going to get an ISO file. And an ISO file will not work in Xemu. You need to convert it into an XISO. So if you click on this one, it's going to give you some instructions. It's going to give you some information about ISOs and different softwares that help you to dump or help you to convert ISO to XISO. This guide is assuming you already have an ISO file from your legal backups. So if you haven't done that yet, if you don't have an ISO file yet, you're going to want to click on how to make a disk image right here. And also in the wiki, if you go to the main wiki page, there's some information on this right here. For Xbox games, the process is similar to the Wii and GameCube, but the following disk drives work for ripping the Xbox games from the disk. Samsung SDG right here. So those are the instructions right here for creating an ISO file. If you don't know how to do that, just check out that page of the wiki. Okay, so back to how to convert an ISO to XISO. We're going to go to the very bottom where it says Best XISO Converter Tool. Now, this tool is always being updated. There's different versions. This version is pretty trusty, this old one. If the newer one's not working, use this old one, 202, 3030, 40307. And we'll show you how to do that on a computer, because you're going to want to download it on your computer, not on your Android device. So we'll switch to the computer now. So if you do have access to XISO files, these ones are going to work. So for example, they're going to look like this. They're going to be maybe 3 gigabytes or 2.5 gigabytes. And they're going to have a .xiso or a .iso.xiso extension at the end, file type name. But if you are dumping from your own disks and you're ripping your own Xbox disks to your PC, you're going to end up with something like this, which is just an image file, a disk image or an ISO file. So this is a .iso and it's usually about 7 gigabytes, 7.5 gigabytes. These will not work on the Xemu emulator and they won't start up. So you have to convert these to XISO format. To do that, you're going to navigate to this GitHub page, which is the extract-xiso GitHub page. The link is on the sidebar of the subreddit under the Xemu ROCKNIX section. And you can try multiple different builds if you want. This one's pretty reliable from March 3rd, 2023, build 202.30.30.40.307. Here we're going to be testing out the newest build, the latest one, 202.505.152.050 from May 15th, 2025. You just extract the Win32 release zip, and it'll show up here as a zip file. And then you extract it using war or WinRAR or whatever, unzip, 7-zip, whatever you want to use, and then you'll get a file called artifacts. So in artifacts, you're going to drag your ISO to this folder, and then in artifacts you have your ISO file that you need to convert to XISO, and you're simply just going to drag that into the application, and then it's going to start extracting. You'll see this percentage is getting higher and higher. It'll take some time. It's basically going to convert the ISO to XISO format, and you're just going to wait for that to occur. It's going to take a while, and we'll fast forward through it, but in the meantime, this is the guide of how to use this extract XISO or XISO tool that we downloaded here from GitHub. So these are the instructions. So you download it first, then you drag your ISO, which is what we just did, and it will extract the contents of the ROM into a folder of the same name. Rename this folder something else. Then in the folder with your Xbox ROMs where you have the exact ISO image, hold Shift and right click the empty space and then select Open PowerShell window. This is kind of like command prompt but more fancy. Then you copy and paste this command. So we're just going to copy and paste this. /extract-xiso.exe-c folder name. So we're going to copy that. Then we're replacing the folder name with the name of the ROM folder. Make sure to include the parentheses, or quotations, sorry. This will convert the folder to an XISO. It will have a .iso at the end, but will now be compatible with Xemu. This is also why we changed the folder's name. We can't have the original ROM and the XISO version both in the same name, in the same folder. Then you can delete your original ISO and rename your new one, the XISO, to the correct name. So these are the instructions. We're still waiting on this. It's going to be extracting all the different aspects of the game, and we're just going to fast forward through this and meet you on the other side. So now that it's finished, you'll see this little folder shows up here with the name of the game. You can double click it, and inside you'll have the game files, such as maps, media, etc. That's good, that's a good sign. So now, as the instructions said, right now we're on step 4. Or step 3, sorry. We're gonna try the Shift plus right click in the empty space, and then we're gonna select PowerShell window. For cursor, we go in the empty space, we hold down Shift, right click, and then open PowerShell window here. So now that we're in our PowerShell window, we're going to copy and paste this little thing right here. Okay, so as you see, it just says folder name. We have to type in the folder name with the parentheses that we just extracted. So this one right here, this is the folder. So we're going to turn this into an XISO. So basically this extract just turned into a folder, but we still need to turn that folder into an XISO. So we take the name, and we're going to copy the name, and we're going to paste it right here. All you have to do is right click and it will paste, but make sure you put the parenthesis at the end, and then press enter. Now it's going to be creating the XISO. So just let it do what it's going to do. Should take some time again, kind of like the extraction process. So now that we've finished, it'll take a few minutes, but it'll say successfully created Halo 2. It's the same sort of file name you had before. 81 files totaling in 4 gigabytes added, and then a location for your files. So you can minimize this or exit out. And then if you go to the artifacts where it said that it was stored, you'll see Halo 2. It looks like another disk image. And this is not a normal disk image. This is the XISO, the X disk image that works in Xemu emulator. It's going to be a smaller file size. The original was, remember, 7.5 gigabytes. This one's about 4.5. Sometimes it'll be about 2.5 for smaller games. This is a pretty big game though. So now that we have this, we can drag it over to the folder where we would usually keep our games. So I keep them, just do copy and paste. So I keep mine right here, Xbox games. And I keep them in their own folders. So I'm going to paste that right in there. And that'll take some time to paste, but once it's done and it's on your correct folders, we'll get onto the file transfer. ROCKNIX is a Linux software, so it's a little bit different than Android. But basically, to do file transfers into the correct ROMs folder for Linux, for ROCKNIX, you have to be in ROCKNIX. So you have to open up ROCKNIX, and then you have to double check that in your network settings, if you go to use gadget function, you'll see different options like network, file transfer, disabled. Make sure it's on file transfer, then press B and B. If you have your device plugged in, you're in ROCKNIX, and you have it connected to your computer, you're then going to find ROCKNIX device, ROMs. So if you go back, we just made this game. It's an XISO of Halo 2. So you're going to go in here, and you're going to take Halo 2 or whatever game it is that you converted, copy it, and then go back to ROCKNIX device, ROMs, and scroll down to Xbox. And then in Xbox, we're going to just paste this game. And you should see a copy and paste sort of loading screen here. And that's going to take a while because it's a big game, 4 gigabytes. Some games are like these ones, they're about 2 gigabytes, or a little bit more than 2 gigabytes. And this one's about 4, so my computer's kind of slow, but it says 8 minutes remaining. So just let that copy and paste, and then it will be ready to play. You just open up your device, and you go to your Xbox, press A, and it'll show up here with your other Xbox games. And if you're not seeing Xbox here as an option, that's because you haven't updated your game list. It will come back if you turn this off and then reboot into ROCKNIX. But you can also update the game list. So if you press start, and you go to game settings and press A, and then press update game lists, it'll update it and Xbox should show up, and then Halo 2 or whatever game that you just transferred over should also show up. And it's ready to play. As long as you followed all the steps correctly, this should work. So if you're not able to boot any Xbox games in Xemu, you are either making one of two mistakes. The first mistake is you haven't converted the XISO correctly. So your ISO file may have been converted to XISO, but something can happen where the ISO file has a DVD file built into it. All the Xbox games do. So if the tool you're using is not correct for converting ISO to XISO and doesn't remove that DVD, Xemu won't be able to read the XISO file. So you need to use the best XISO converter tool. But if you did use the correct XISO converter tool, your XISO game is fine, you just don't have the correct BIOS. So you need to get the BIOS files or the required files. You need to put them in the correct place. So the correct BIOS files are going to be right here, 3 buttons down from the top, required files for Xemu. Just click on that. And you must log in to Internet Archive to access this content. So just make an account with your email, super easy, just verify with your email, they'll send you an email and then you'll be logged in. And then you basically just download the BIOS. It's 3 different files, right? So I'll show you those 3 different files now. So when you download the Internet Archive BIOS file, once you've made your account and downloaded it, you'll get something called Xemu files. That will be your download. So let's go check out the BIOS. So in here you have 3 different folders. We'll focus on the first folder. So your complex 4627V1.03 bin, this is the first BIOS file. That's the first important file to have. So take that one. Also the boot ROM image, we're going to be looking at this one. It's the only one here, mcpx 1.0.bin. This is another important BIOS file. It's the second important one. And the third important one is the HDD. It'll be called xbox-hdd.qcow2, qcow2. So those are the 3 important files. And if your games aren't working, you most likely don't have those, or you don't have those in the correct place. Now, what's the correct place? Well, if you have your device plugged in, you're in ROCKNIX, and you have it connected to your computer, you're then going to find ROCKNIX device, ROMs, and then you're going to be looking for BIOS. And once you are in BIOS, you're going to click on Xemu. And then in Xemu, these are the 2 folders where they go. The first 2, which are the complex 4627V1.03, just goes here, and make sure it's naked, it's not inside of a folder, it's just a bin file on its own. And then the mcpx 1.0 is also naked on its own right here, alongside each other. These should be the only 2 files in here, in Xemu BIOS. And then the third BIOS file, which is the HDD, will go into this folder. So it should be the only thing in here, the xbox-hdd, the qcow2 file. So once those are in the right place, all you have to do is transfer your games. So now that it's been transferred, you can see Halo 2 is showing up in the Xbox menu. So I'm just going to start up to show you that it works with these BIOS files and the XISO converter that we used. You just press A on the game, and this is what you'll see. I have my fan set to aggressive, so it's pretty loud. So sorry if it's a bit too loud. But you should set your fan to aggressive so you can get max performance anyways.
So as you can see, Halo 2 is running nice.
Right on the chief's ass. Well, not right on it.
But this is not a gameplay demo video. This is just to show you how to set it up, so I'm not going to play too much. But just to show you that, you know, these games work. And the XISO converter works, the BIOS works. It's all functional. Oops. I died. So yeah, in-game, to access settings, you're going to press the home button. Then you're going to use the D-pad and the A and B buttons to navigate this. So you go down to settings, and then you press B. B is how you select things in this menu. So if I go to all settings, there I can select important things. Just scroll down to enter into this side menu. And then once you're here, you can change the resolution. So I got a 1x. For Halo 2, you want it at 1x. Other games, you can do up to 3x. But yeah, all your settings are right there. And then to quit, you always press A. So anytime you're in settings, to quit, you press A. To reopen it, you press home again. And to exit the game, you just press exit, and then press B. So, now that we're here in the main menu, I want to show you how to do universal settings. So these are settings that will apply to every game. So if you want to really get the max performance out of this device, for Xbox, just press start. Then you're going to go to games settings, and you're going to press A. And then you're going to go down all the way to the bottom. Per system advanced configuration, press A. Then you're going to go to Xbox, press A. And then you're going to set CPU clock speed to 130%. At least that's what I like to do. And then you're going to set internal resolution to 3x. Show FPS, yes, if you want to see the FPS as you go. And then go to system options, press A. Cores used, you're going to change it to all. And then cooling profile, you're going to change it to aggressive. And then CPU scaling governor, you're going to change it to performance. And then GPU performance profile, you're going to do best performance. Display mode can be default. And then press B to save all your settings. Press B again to save all your settings here. Press B again, again, and you're back. And then you can start up your game. But then within the game, you're going to be able to adjust individual settings. So for example, we had the 3x for all games. But if you go here, and you go to settings, and then to all settings, and then go to display, it's going to start us out with 3x, because that's our default. We just changed it to that in the main menu. B, and then change it to 1x resolution, because it's a little bit more of a demanding game. Hopefully that helped you, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.